Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about Venus going retrograde in Capricorn for the next 4 months. So the house that is occupied by Capricorn in your birth chart will be going through some reassessments and some rebalancing in the next 4 months. So Venus goes retrograde approximately every 18-19 months. And the last time she was retrograde in Capricorn specifically was December 2005 into January 2006 and December 2013 into January of 2014. So Venus is currently in her pre-shadow period, which is happening from November 18th to December 18th, 2021. This means she is slowing down to a standstill, which is going to happen on December 18th, 19th, and she'll officially go backwards back through Capricorn until January 29th of 2022, give or take a day or two, depending on where you are on the planet. And then the post-shadow period will begin from January 30th to March 2nd, 2022. And this is when she's going back forward through the sign of Capricorn until she moves out of her shadow after or around March the 2nd. So Venus rules the second house of Taurus and also the seventh house of Libra. So in short, during this transit, our money, our love, our relationships will be up for some review and reflection over the next few months. And because this is happening in the sign of Capricorn, it's going to really give us that sort of Capricorn flavor. So Capricorn rules the 10th house in our birth charts. So that's our career, our public image, our public reputation, our long-term goals. It's also a parental axis as well. And it also rules the authority figures in our life. So as a collective, as a whole, all of us will be looking at our self-worth. Am I worthy? We're going to look at, relationship to money, possibly, finances, career. This transit is really going to show us what we truly desire and want out of our relationships. Capricorn really is a no-nonsense sign, direct to the point, no fluff, no warm and fuzzy. It's the business person of the zodiac. So I do feel the rose-colored glasses will be flying off for some people during this transit. The reason why I say that is because Venus will be conjunct Pluto 2 times in this transit. So Pluto is the lord of death and rebirth and transformation. So I feel like something in our life will be stripped down bare to a blank canvas, potentially, for something else to be rebuilt and reborn. Also during this transit, because of Pluto's involvement, some fears surrounding our self-worth, our money, our finances, our values, our love might come up to the surface. But I mean, they are coming up for a reason. So they either have to be healed, transformed, or worked through in some way. And things will look different in March once this transit is complete. So for example, usually when Venus goes retrograde for a collective, all of us, potentially old relationships from the past could come back into our lives, whether that's love or friendships. Again, revisit them, or they are to be revisited. So do we give that person a second chance, or do we heal the energy and close the door and let that go? Another thing that could happen is if you are starting a new relationship at this time, the person could look very different in March. So meaning you might think in March, what the hell was I doing? What the hell was I thinking dating this person? So that could be a possibility. Also be very mindful of big expensive purchases during this time. Venus going backwards could mean expenses for all of us in one or more areas of our life. So just be mindful of those very big purchases if they're on your mind in the next 4 months or so. If you have any personal planets in Capricorn, Venus will be conjuncting them during this time, and usually a couple times because she's going forward, backwards, and then forward again. So Venus overall is, she rules, beauty, love. So she will infuse your personal planets or outer planets, depending on what planets they are, with that positive energy, which is overall very good news for not only if you have planets in Capricorn, but for all of us too. So I wanted to go through each sign to let you know where you might see some of these sort of things coming up in your life. Keep in mind, I'm using a whole house system. I use Western tropical astrology. This is not possibly going to resonate with everyone because everyone's birth charts are different. The house systems are different depending on where you are born on the planet. I do recommend watching for your ascendant, your sun, and your moon signs to really pull this energy together for you. If you don't have a birth chart or you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go to astro.com and it will calculate a birth chart for you for free, or you can type into any search engine birth chart calculations, and it will, there's lots of free resources out there that can produce a chart for free for you. So starting with Aries, this is happening in your 10th house of career, reputation, your public image, your long-term goals. It's also the parental axis. So concerns about what other people think of you might be on your mind during this transit. It might be your focus. It might be what you're worried about. You might be thinking about your reputation. What is your reputation worth to you? What is your reputation anyway? You might be chasing after career goals or long-term goals, and you might be so wrapped up chasing them, you can't even remember why you started in the first place. So this is a really good time to, if you're having those thoughts and feelings, you can absolutely reassess them during this time. Great time to redefine those goals, redefine those expectations, and plant the seeds for your future growth. Taurus, this is happening in your 9th house of higher education, teaching, long distance travel, and your ethics and belief systems. So at this time, you might feel like your beliefs or your religion is maybe holding you back or dragging you down, or it's really cumbersome on you at this time. You might be thinking about that. You might be rethinking your educational pursuits, your learning and development pursuits. You might be thinking about or rethinking your training. You might have the attitude of things are just too expensive, they're out of your reach, you give up, you don't want anything to do with it. Say, for example, a friend or somebody comes to you and says, hey, we got some big travel plans. We have an opportunity to travel to Europe and do this. You might think, I'm not doing that. It's too expensive. It's too far away. I can't do this, blah, 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 excuses. So just be mindful of your thought patterns and your thought processes. Do your best to regain your focus and your thoughts at this time. Don't let them run the show, basically. Gemini, this is happening in your 8th house of rebirth, sex, transformation, taxes, debts, loans, and joint finances. You might feel like something's missing from your life at this time. You might be thinking, where's the joy and happiness in my life? You could be surrounded by your material possessions and you just feel like, oh, I need more. Probably not a good time to run out and buy more things. Think to yourself, why? Like, why are you craving that? Like, is it maybe an emotional void you're trying to fill? If it's going to make you feel better to go out and buy a brand new $2,000 laptop, sure. but you might regret it in March. That's the only unfortunate thing about this transit. You could look at going back to something old and reviving it. That could bring you some new happiness and joy in your life. Revisit what has worked for you in the past when it comes to, again, love or finances. Again, don't spend unnecessarily. Don't, if you do, just make sure you know why you're purchasing it. Because again, in March, it might look completely different to you. Cancer, this is happening in your 7th house of contracts, marriage, legal matters, business partnerships, love relationships in general. So you will be reassessing your relationships at this time. You might need to revive a stale relationship at this time. You might be asking yourself, what do you really want out of your relationships? There may be some disruptions in all types of relationships at this time. You may think of leaving your partner or starting a new relationship. Usually when breakups happen during a Venus retrograde, they don't last. Usually, doesn't apply to everybody, but that's usually what happens. If you are starting a new relationship at this time, I just caution, go slowly, because the person might look different to you in March. They might not, but sometimes, again, the retrograde, the rose-colored glasses get put on, and you don't see someone's true colors until the end of this transit. So again, just something to be aware of. Leo, this is happening in your 6th house of day-to-day work, your health, your fitness, your habits, your day-to-day responsibilities. So Leo, you might just be thinking about or feeling unsatisfied with your day-to-day routines, responsibilities. You might want to think of ways to kind of shake things up again. Take care of your health during this transit. Sometimes well, any planet transiting the 6th house can bring up some health issues, especially if it's going retrograde. So just be mindful of that. You may be looking at your diet. You may be looking at your lifestyle. Are you living a healthy lifestyle? Are you taking care of your body? Exercise routines might come up at this time. Maybe you want to start something new or shake something up. During this transit, you might crave those comfort foods, eating those comfort foods, so just be aware of that. Really, this transit is about thinking about what really satisfies you in one or more areas of your life. Virgo, this is happening in your 5th house of children, love affairs, creativity, self-expression, and drama. So you might have a strong creative impulse to do something at this time, whether it's for work or a hobby project. You want to potentially have fun at all costs. I'm thinking of like maybe a Vegas bender or something like that. So just be aware of those urges and this energy. Watch out for big, expensive projects coming up at this time. Watch out for biting off more than you can chew, making those promises, and then again, in March, it might look completely different and you might be overwhelmed by whatever you promised, say in November, December timeframe. And love may be coming back from the past. Because it's the 5th house of love affairs, it could be more of a fling, or you could potentially start a fling at this time. Just be aware of these energies that could be coming up for you. Libra, this is happening in your 4th house of family, home, roots. It also is the parental axis, self-care, and property. So Libra, right now, you might want to do some renovations to your home. You might want to beautify your home in some way or some area of your home. You might want to give it a makeover. Expenses might come up during this time related to the home. You might want to stick around home a little bit more. I do caution if you do or are thinking of renovations at this time, Again, if you start massive renovations right now, they might look different to you in March, not in a good way. Like you might think, oh my God, why did I just paint my living room blood orange red? What was I thinking, or something along those lines. So just be aware of that. Watch out for emotional eating. You might be, thinking about what makes you feel comfy, cozy in your own home or in your own space. This is really an inner emotional spiritual energy for Libras. Also reminiscing the past could come up at this time, your roots, where you came from, your home, where you grew up. And again, which is fine, but just don't live in the past. Just don't stick there. Live in the now, because sometimes if we reminisce about the past, we get stuck in those negative thought patterns like shoulda, coulda, woulda. So just again, be aware of this energy. So Scorpio, this is happening in your third house of the mind, communications, transportation, siblings, cousins, neighbors. You might struggle at this time to express yourself. So your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions might not come out like how you're thinking them in your head, or you might be confused. Surrounding how to express your thoughts, feelings, emotions. Watch out for negative thought patterns too. Like self-worth, am I worthy might come up. So if you do notice that, positive affirmations, write them on a sticky note or print them out, stick them on your mirror or in your bedroom or somewhere where you can read them at least once a day. Just be, again, aware of that. You might want to take a break from social media at this time. That's totally fine. I think all of us need that once in a while. You might want to take a break from a sibling who's driving you nuts, or a neighbor or a cousin. And again, that is totally fine. You might want to retreat, and that is totally fine. Vehicle repairs and expenses might come up at this time. So just be aware of that. So if your vehicle is making a knocking noise or something like that, get it checked out. I wouldn't recommend leaving it. And also on the flip side, you might want to buy a new vehicle at this time, or trade in a vehicle at this time. So again, maybe you're looking at like a really, really expensive SUV. But then you might, if you go ahead and purchase it, you might regret it in March. So again, just be aware of that, be mindful of that, and just ask yourself, what do I really need out of this vehicle? Sagittarius, this is happening in your second house of money, work, finances, income, and your material possessions. So you might be relooking at all of your material possessions at this time. Say you have multiple vehicles or rental properties. Maybe it's time to think about, what sort of value does that bring into your life? Do those things make you feel good, feel happy still? Ask yourself, am I still enjoying them? Can I live without them? So some of these things to ponder at this time. So on the flip side, though, you might want to buy more and more and more and more and more and more and more, similar to Gemini. You might have that urge to fill some sort of void. Again, ask yourself why. Like, why do I need that? Why do I need that $80,000 sports car? Like, what's the reason behind that? And hey, if you have a valid reason, absolutely, go for it. But again, be mindful. Things might look different in March. So this also goes for all signs. Like any big purchases in the next 4 months, just double, triple check if you absolutely need them, because in March you might regret it. So Capricorn, this is happening in your first house of your physical appearance, the body, the ego, the identity, your home, your personality, and your style. So Capricorn, you might actually want to change your physical appearance in some way. You might have thoughts of that. You might want to change how you present yourself into the world, whether it's at the workplace or with your family, or bringing in new positive habits for that with regards to your attitude or personality. It's usually not recommended at this time to make any physical changes to your appearance, and this is especially important for you, but also for all the signs. Cosmetic surgeries are not a good idea when Venus is retrograde because she rules beauty. So again, do your research, but anything permanent like tattoos, permanent makeup, cosmetic surgeries, piercings, anything like that, I would say hold off on until the spring if you can. If you already had an appointment set, it is what it is, right? Just, because you made that decision prior to the shadow period, so it should be fine. But usually when people make these rash decisions during Venus retrograde, they regret it once Venus goes direct or comes out of shadow. So again, just be mindful of this energy and what you want to change about your appearance. Aquarius, this is happening in your 12th house of the unseen, healing, closures, karma, the subconscious, and secrets. So at this time, secret love affairs could actually start for you, or you could be maybe testing the waters in that area of your life when it comes to love and romance and flings. So that could happen at this time. Feelings, thoughts, emotions might be bubbling up for you at this time, and you don't know why, you don't know where they're coming from. They might just happen suddenly and then go away suddenly and then come back and go away. So again, things are coming up, bubbling up to be healed, transformed in some way, worked through some way. So a good time to work with a therapist as well, if that works for you. Try to be still, rest, meditate, pamper yourself, listen to a good, positive, podcast, read, do something that mentally is positive and lifts you up. Just watch out for those negative thought patterns at this time of, self-worth. Pisces, this is happening in your 11th house of friendships, groups, and communities. So old friendships from the past could be coming back into your life at this time. Running into people from your past could also be happening at this time. You might be thinking about rekindling your current friendships. Maybe you haven't seen them in a long time. Maybe you want to start reaching out to those people that you haven't connected to in a long time. Maybe you're the glue of your friend group and you're the one always, making the reservations, booking the appointments, booking the halls, hosting people at your house. Maybe it's time to let somebody else do that, Pisces, instead of you doing everything. So again, just be aware of that, be mindful of that. Also, this energy is, taking people for granted. So maybe you're taking someone for granted in your life, or vice versa. People could be taking advantage of you, taking you for granted. So if those things bubble up to the surface at this time, just something to think about. It is a good time to rethink your friendships and your community circles. And it's a good time to think about those toxic relationships that maybe are not good for you anymore. So I hope that helped. I'm really curious how these energies are playing out specifically in your life over the next 4 months. Keep in mind, these are very general horoscopes, and I'm trying to keep these videos very short, sweet, to the point. So I do appreciate you watching. I will be doing a video on Jupiter moving into the sign of Pisces, which starts at the end of December 2021. And Jupiter will be staying in that sign for 1 year. It's always super exciting when a planet, especially an outer planet, changes signs. So I'll be talking about that and what that means for every single sign very soon. So thanks again. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.